Hello there and welcome to another episode of 4TimsWeekly podcast. You join us on Monday the 1st of November. We come to you the Monday after Celtic have dropped 2 points in the league after they were held to a goalless draw at home to Livingston. It was Halloween weekend and Andy, it was very much a frightful experience for Celtic on Saturday.
It was disappointing with the home games and things in the way we've played recently, particularly in the first half against Hibs. And we were all fancying, I don't really know anybody that was really worried about the game. We were all fancying to go out and win it and probably win convincingly, which I think would have been fair enough. It was a disappointing performance, as we've had quite a few times against Livingston, and there was already one this season, but barring the 6-0 to the last season, they generally are pretty tight games. As I say, it's disappointing, but I've been trying to be sort of real thinking about it since. It was unrealistic that we weren't going to drop points. I sort of knew at the end of the season, which isn't an excuse. Like, we weren't good enough. It was fucking. I think I seen a stat. It was like 85% of the ball or something we had that entire game, and I can think of maybe one save their keeper had to make, barring the penalty. Just really sort of void any mass amount of creativity. Showed how much I felt we missed Tom Rogic, and Jota was probably the only other person that looked like he could have maybe made something happen. Other than that, it was dreadful. The set pieces, the dead balls for Tumbos, it's embarrassing. That's going back to the sort of fucking shite we were served up last season and the season before, where we don't actually utilise any set pieces, which is strange given obviously the success that we had against Hibs. So sort of inclined to put that down as just one of the days for in terms of him and his delivery. But aside from that, it was just a really, really poor performance. And we get given a gift late on in the game to obviously go and sneak it and get a penalty, and we didn't take it. Pish poor penalty. I've seen since that there's an argument that it could have been taken again, but I'm not really going to start sort of a witch hunt against some linesman or something for that, because ultimately we shouldn't have needed that penalty to win the game, but even at that we got given it, and for some strange reason we took our penalty taker off it. During the week it was noted that, and it was said in the paper that Juranovic was, first of all, we had missed one in training, he took two, scored two for us, and he was the designated penalty taker, and then we changed that. That's not really acceptable in a high pressure penalty. Somebody had to take a bit of ownership, whether it was McGregor or the manager, and say that, listen, this is what's happening. Angie's comments, still, to me, that's just a manager defending his player, which is fair enough. But I don't really think that was his decision. It was just poor. What else is a bit disappointing is Starfelt getting injured. We've spoke about him quite a few times. It feels as if every week you were saying, oh, that's now his best game in a Celtic jersey. He has really grown into the role. He's got better and better. Now he's obviously injured. I could only assume the manager's going to revert to putting Beaton in there. Again, just another player that's really no good enough. Ferencvaros starting on the bench was maybe a real sort of misjudgment by the manager. Like you said, we are massive fans here. We still get my full backing, but hopefully he learns for us, and it's something that we can avoid a result like that at home again. Easier to take. I don't know if it would be that, but if I was away in Livy, then I'd have probably expected it to happen more. But it's probably just harder to take that because it was a home game and we were on a high, really. We were playing the game on the Saturday. We could have went sort of top of the league, albeit it might only have been for a day anyway, but it's probably just that people really wanted. But we've still conceded the least in the league, still scored the most in the league. All I'm seeing it is as a blip. They are just a team of fucking hammer throwers, and it's not something that I think will really impact us too much. I look forward to the Ferencvaros game on Thursday, which I'm sure we all do. I fancy our chances in it, and again, obviously we played Dundee before. There's a break in the game, so it's disappointing, Dan. But I don't think we should, and I don't think the club will sort of dwell on it.
I know you're sort of moving on. I know in our group chat, me and Tony seemed a bit more upset and angry about it, but I'm just like, we've not been on here since the Hibs game. Like we'd done a preview, and then obviously we'd done a Twitter space last week after the Hibs game where we were fantastic. As we said on Saturday in Malone's when we done our pre-match podcast, it was we were all absolutely buzzing and looking forward to getting the opportunity to go top of the league, as you say. Like Ange had played it down, and probably for the best that he played it down, because it was just such a poor performance. I thought, as you said, we had 85% in the ball, but we really did struggle to create absolutely anything with it. I know first half you've got Ralston who has one blocked off the line, you've got Starfelt putting one over the bar with a header, but apart from that we were just we couldn't break it down. And I just thought, like, as you say, taking like Rogic was an enforced change because obviously he came off injured against Hibs, but when you take Mikey Johnston and Kyogo out of the team, like that front three on Wednesday night was just absolutely terrifying. Like how good they were. Like they looked like they got a score every time they went forward, and to replace two or three of them, and no harm to Abada or Jackie Marcus, they're decent enough players, but I just think momentum was gone for us at that point, and especially Kyogo, it's just he has been so far and above like our biggest like centre forward striker like threat, like miles ahead of Jackie Marcus and miles ahead of Ajeti. So for me, if he's on the bench, if he's good enough to be on the bench and he's fit enough to be on the bench, then he shouldn't be on the bench. Like he should be starting because you really should. Like I know we often say, like in terms of rotation, just get the job done and then sub him at half time or sub him at 60 minutes. But I just thought we were so lacklustre. Like to play Giakoumakis, it's easy for me to say in hindsight, but when you play Giakoumakis at home against Livingston, who you know, like it's not even at Tony Macaroni, you know they're just going to sit in and try and defend for their lives, and all we done was just put crossbars in. I seen the stat saying that we attempted 40 crosses, and like it's just absolutely, like at what point was the manager of the team just going to realise that it wasn't working? Like, we could have put crosses in all day and all night, and we still wouldn't have scored by this point. And I just thought, I know we made plenty of subs in the second half, but one of them I thought he took Jota off, who was the only one that looked like he was getting any sort of joy and out of the Liverpool defence. And then we just continued to do the same thing. And then, as you say, you're at, like, Bobby Madden was fucking terrible. That's the third time we've had a terrible performance from him, like the first day at Tynecastle and then at Pittodrie a few weeks ago, and now that he was terrible. But all his poor decisions that he made through that 90 minutes are undone when we're absolutely gifted a penalty. Like it doesn't matter how well we played, how poorly we played, how bad the ref was, we were gifted an absolute, like the perfect opportunity to go top of the league, to get a last minute winner. Personally, I take the manager at face value. He says Giakoumakis was the selected penalty taker and he just hasn't been on the pitch when we've had one. I can accept that because I've watched it back and at no point does Juranovic go anywhere near it. And as much as myself and most people, I think, would have expected and wanted him to take it because he's took two and have been fantastically put away, he's just respecting whatever's been decided. And then Giakoumakis steps up to take it, and I quite like the strikers wanting the penalties, like obviously wanting to boost his goal tally, but it's got to be one of the worst penalties I've ever seen. It's so, like, it's a wee short run up, and it's so, the keeper just knows exactly what he's going to do, and it's not even hit with any conviction. Like the keeper could have dived the wrong way and probably got on time to save it. It was hit with that little power. Like if he was to put that over the bar or whatever or rattle the post, then at least you know he's put his foot through it. But it was pathetic, and it wasn't a surprise because I thought he offered absolutely nothing throughout the whole game, and then went on in the 96th minute and missed an arse when Forrest sort of fluffed one, and he just wasn't alert enough to react quickly and put one in that would have absolved anything from him on that. But Tony, what was your thoughts on it? I know, as I said, me and you were a bit more angry and upset about the performance even into Sunday.
I thought the performance was abysmal. I was really disappointed, as you said. I was expecting, when you're going for league titles, you get Wednesday felt like a big boost for us. Obviously, Rangers dropping points, and we performed excellently at Hibs. And I think your tails were up, and they were on the back foot. But football can change so quickly. We all know that. And unfortunately, it didn't go about. But I just thought it was atrocious on Saturday. I was really disappointed. I would blame the manager for not starting Kyogo. That's not me saying I want him sacked or anything of the kind. I think that was an error. Maybe he would agree. Maybe if he could start back, he would have started Kyogo. As I always say, start your best players, and when you win or the game's done, you can take them off, and that's fine. So I just thought we made a bit of a balls here, to be totally honest. And then we just won quite emphatically yesterday. So as I say, the game can change very quickly. I'm not hitting the panic button at all or anything like that. I can accept that this is the way that the title race is going to be. We fully expect one. I think that there's a title race on. We're going to drop points, but see if it wasn't for some silly points we've dropped, we could be well clear ourselves, but it's not quite panned out that way. I don't think we had the players in quick enough to have shot into any type of real lead, but we're still well in it in October. Next game's Ferencvaros. We should be looking to win that, and that would guarantee us European football after Christmas, which again, we get the fans right back on side. But no, I'm not panicking. We know we've got good players in the team. That's undoubted. We just need to regroup and go again. We need to win the next 2 games. We need to win it Dundee away as well. Could be a tricky game, but we need to continue winning. As Andy mentioned, it's a small consolation, but our defence has been strong. I know Livy offered absolutely nothing. It was just unfortunate we couldn't break them down. Just a touch in the crosses. I think it was the Celtic analytical account, which I think is an account run by the guys that do the Cynic podcast. Says we've put, I don't know the exact number. I know it was 80 odd crosses into Livy over 2 games, and we've scored no goals. So I just find that absolutely ridiculous. And again, that's the manager and the coaching staff. Surely after cross 75 or whatever, you go, maybe this isn't working and we should try something else. But the last 6 minutes, you get the penalty, which was an atrocious penalty, probably one of the worst penalties I've seen. Just a pass, and then Giamakis had another chance when Forrest kind of fluffed it. It was just a frustrating afternoon. Couldn't put any real pressure on Rangers, and they seem to bounce back well for going behind again. But I think this is just the way it's going to be. But I think I would hope to see in Ferencvaros, you'll see Kyogo starting.
I'd be absolutely stunned if Kyogo didn't start on Thursday night. It is tricky, like, because Celtic, like, it was always going to be a massive rebuilding season for Ange, but I just like the performances that they've put in the last few weeks. Wins at Pittodrie, at Fir Park, at Easter Road. Like, that was why Celtic fans came to expect us to just sort of swat aside Livingston on Saturday and go back top of the league and put pressure on. But Andy, like, I know, as you said, it's going to be a season of twists and turns, but if we are going to mount any sort of title challenge, we have to sort of get all this. This is now 5 points we've dropped to Livingston over 2 games, and we're only 12 games in. That's just not going to win you titles. So, like, wait, do you agree that if, like, in terms of crosses in the box, does the manager or the coaches need to look at something when it's, as Tony said, the stats are backing up that it's just clearly not working when you're trying the same thing over and over again?
Do you know, it's a bit like when we beat Hibs the other day at Easter Road, and a lot was sort of made of it. And before the game, I think it was Danny that mentioned it on here. A lot of people were giving it the whole, there's a hoodoo when we go to Easter Road, there's this and that, and we can't beat them there. And I never really bought that either. It wasn't like we went to Easter Road and it was a really difficult place to play, or anything like that. We were just generally pish. And I've got a bit of the same feeling about obviously the game at the weekend there. Like, Livingston really could have been any other team in the league that were going to play like that. I don't necessarily think it was that they done anything sort of groundbreaking, or it was, it's. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like that to me. It just felt like we were just pish. We just didn't won the clinical, didn't utilise our chances. The lineup probably should have been different. It just felt like one of the days, which we will have, particularly this season. It's going to be a season of twists and turns. And we've just got to obviously hope that more often than not that goes in our favour. Like, I don't really think it's sort of big hoodoo against Livingston. I mean, if you look at, what was it, the home game before that, St Johnstone, that could have been easily very similar to that, because I think, do you know what I mean, it's St Johnstone are probably a better team than Livy. It's nothing that really sort of screams out to me. As I said, it was watching the set pieces that were put in, however many corners we had, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I can imagine it was, I don't know, maybe 10 or something like that. And if you put that in with free kicks as well, that were sort of a crossing position into the box, the delivery itself was poor. It wasn't that they were defending them well or anything like that. It was constantly no beating the first man, no getting it in a right good danger area, no giving your offensive players at that point the best opportunity to score. And I think that's often missed when you look at things like, there was 40 balls into the box or whatever. Like, delivery itself was what was poor that day. But then, as mentioned earlier, you go back to that Hibs game, and 2 of the goals comfy crosses into the box. Like, it's about getting that side of the consistency, and I don't think it was necessarily we need to look at what we're Livy doing. It's our delivery wasn't good enough. Our service that we were getting, the strikers that we were getting, the players who were in advanced positions getting the box, the delivery for them wasn't good enough. It wasn't that it was being nullified, because you can fucking do whatever you want for a set piece, but if somebody puts the ball in the box that doesn't meet the first man, then you certainly don't need to worry. So I think that's really what it came down to. But again, that's probably for the fact that we've only really got Tumble who'll hit any, and it's always been a weird thing, I think, in football to have that this year, unless you really are one of the sort of top players in world football. Like you're a sort of Luka Modric or a Tony Kroos or somebody with just a fucking wand of right foot that doesn't really have an half day. Then there will be times where guys like Tumble it's just not happening for him. Or it's just one of the games his delivery's just not quite as crisp as usual. Like we should maybe thinking about, or even like somebody hits the corner for the left, somebody for the right, like mix something up, because he's tried 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 crosses in the box. So that should be what we look at changing in these situations, allowing somebody else to try and put a delivery in. But I don't think it was anything. Like it's no, if we had to go and play Livy again next week at home, like, I wouldn't be worried. Even at that, like, even however pish we were, like that penalty again, it was a poor penalty. And he obviously didn't really make the keeper work. The keeper also guessed right, which does help. But again, 9 times out of 10 weeks, I'm going to back the big man to bury that. Like, it really just had the feeling of one of the days. Like, we could have probably still been playing the round, no scored. But again, if we went in next, if it was next week and we were playing Livy at home again, then I would fancy us to win. I'm no similar to how I wasn't buying anytime we go to Easter Road there's a hoodoo and we can't beat them. I'm not buying that with Livy. That's just nonsense in my book. But it's all we've got to do is really just pick ourselves up, learn from it, move on. Andrew, he's still building. He's still a fresh manager, and there's still a lot of new players in. There's obviously players coming back for injury. There's going to start to be a lot of competition for places. Like, things should only improve. In games like that, it'll be a learning curve for a lot of the players who have really had a lot of joy. Your guys like Jota and things like that who have obviously been playing brilliantly recently. They've been on fire, and it seems like every time they get the ball, something's going to happen. But again, that's a learning curve for him. That obviously there's another element to the game up here, and things like that can happen. So hopefully we take more for that result than in terms of going forward, and we can use it and put it down to right. Okay, it's experience in the bag, but let's what do we do to avoid that happening again?
Of course, as you say, you're not always going to get things going your own way. I don't think it's a particular thing with Livy, I agree with that. But I do worry that teams will just know that'll be the blueprint for teams coming to Celtic Park. They'll see that if we just continue to play the same way, if you've got defenders that just deal with the crosses in the box, then you're going to sort of frustrate Celtic and keep them out for a long while. Tony, one thing I had a sort of issue with on Saturday was that it's when you've got Juranovic playing at left back, and then we shift Jota out to the right where he seems more comfortable out on the left, and Kyogo was sort of not in a completely natural position given that he had been playing up top himself, and obviously Yakimakis was still in the park when he came on. I just feel that we're trying to accommodate other players such as like Mikey Johnston and whoever by playing these players like out of position, and I felt they were sort of balanced on the left side just isn't there at the moment, especially with Juranovic. I think he's a good player. I didn't think he did his greatest game on Saturday. I thought he misplaced a few passes, and generally, like, I just feel that doing that wing, like for Jota especially, I know he had a lot of joy in the first half, but you need a sort of overlap, and I don't know if we're just missing that now because Juranovic is like sort of naturally a right back, so I don't know if he's just uncomfortable going down that side on his left foot, but I don't know if it's something that you picked up on as well.
He's not got a left foot, I don't think, so he's kind of wasted. And one of his big, apparently one of his big strengths is balls into the box. So for me, we've discussed Tony Ralston to death. Give him massive credit. I think he's done very well under a lot of criticism to kind of put in good performances, but Juranovic has started right back. I would bring Bolingoli back into the fold and give him a chance at left back. We've done it for years. We play players out of position. We shouldn't be in that position ourselves where we need to do it. So I would say play Juranovic at right back and bring Bolingoli in, and that'll maybe provide more balance for the team.
I know the sort of first choice left back has been Greg Taylor. Obviously, he's injured, but if no Bolingoli, then you've also got Scales and Montgomery there. It's sort of one for me that one I think could be easily fixed. And as you say, I'm even at a point where I don't even mind if he wants to rotate between Ralston and Juranovic. I think Juranovic will eventually take position, but just play players in their own position. But Andy, you mentioned it, a big blow losing Carol Starfelt. Obviously, Julian's still a few weeks away. Are you happy enough that Beaton will probably drop in there for the next few games, or do you think it might even be seen Welsh, given we're lacking a few in midfield at the same time?
Something tells me we might actually see Scales get a go in there as well. I don't think the manager obviously fancies Welsh or Beaton in there, and to be honest, for the type of football we want to play, they are. I think you might see Scales get an opportunity in there. I don't know why he wasn't on the bench at the weekend there, and sort of really if he was injured or if there was any niggles or anything like that. But yeah, he obviously has featured in the past after the bench and things, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. But outside of that, then I reckon if it was between Welsh and Beaton, I think the manager would go with Beaton. But again, there's maybe another sort of question around that because Rogic is injured, so he was putting obviously Beaton into McGregor's position and allowing McGregor to sort of move forward and play the same role as Rogic. But I'm not sure. I think it's something we really need to invest in January again. Is first of all a midfielder, and arguably another centre half if the manager isn't fancying the options. I don't know. I've seen there was a rumour about the day about Julian's actually might be further away than the sort of had been reported and we'd first thought, which I hope is a lot of shite because I actually think Julian is a good defender and he's somebody I've been looking forward to seeing alongside Cameron Vickers. But again, Starfelt has done really well. I was gutted when he went down and went off because it's always disappointing to see any player in your team go off injured. But particularly when somebody's really sort of improved game on game, just get his head down, worked hard, doesn't say much away for that, and really does sort of put in good performances. And our backlines get stronger and stronger as times went on. So it was a disappointing thing to see, but hopefully, as I said, I think about Julian's a lot of shite. He's no far away, but I think it's a difficult one with the Rogic injury as well. As to what the manager's going to do, but I'm not sure. I just have got this feeling that he might look to Scales because he just probably fancies him over Welsh and Beaton at centre half. But on the left back thing, I'm probably be Tony, to be honest with you. The boy Montgomery, I feel bad for him sort of having to play that because he's not a left back and it's like trying to learn a new role again while there's so much pressure on things like that as well. So I think that's always harsh on him. I'd probably have him on the bench at times, but I would look at Bolingoli as well. I think you need to get Juranovic in at right back. He's a fucking Croatian international right back, and we've got him at left back to accommodate other players and to shoehorn people in. Like, just play people in their natural position and give them the best chance. Granted, it probably helps a wee bit because the fullbacks come in, so he can go on his right foot. But as you mentioned, Darren, the fullbacks still look at times in the way we play to sort of get on the overlap and offer another option. And again, even defensively, it's much more difficult if somebody tries to run him to the byline, because naturally he has to then lead to his left foot. So to me, it just makes sense. Like, get him in at right back and get the boy sort of utilising the qualities that he's got. At times I see him at the weekend that he did have the ball in a wide area and he was offering a support for Jota, but all he really could do was sort of cut back in the right, and then it was either put the ball into a box or sort of play the ball along one of the midfielders or one of the centre halves. That's really, he didn't have that sort of that third option, because he's not got a left foot and he doesn't fancy his left foot, which is fair enough. If he doesn't fancy it and he doesn't feel like put a ball into the box for it, then a lot of people are screaming, "Oh, just do it anyway." But I mean, the same people that have been moaning if he fucked the ball at the park for a fucking goal kick if he tried it. But you got to play to your strengths in football, and that's what he does, and that's what we should do for him as well. And I do agree. I've been a big critic of Tony Ralston. He has done really well, but listen, Juranovic a better player, so play him at right back. But I don't know. There'll be a few changes coming up there, and it'll be interesting to see what the manager does. But hopefully, it's not going to end turn out like sort of problems we ran into early on in the season, where sort of 1 and 2 injuries turned into 3, 4, and 5, and before you knew it, we were sort of scrambling to even fill our bench at times. Because that caused us a massive amount of problems. Obviously, early on, not having really many options, and again, it just gets more difficult for players. So playing 2 or 3 times in quick succession. But it's again, we'll obviously come on to Thursday and sort of how we think the team will line up, and how we think the team will perform. But I think that'll tell you a lot. I get the impression after that result, he's likely going to sort of lean towards getting out and winning games first before sort of changing things around. I reckon the manager will start to don't know how to put it, probably just playing what he sees as his strongest available 11 at times. So like Kyogo starting obviously most weeks unless he is struggling for whatever reason. But I've got to agree on that as well. Like his strongest thing is through the middle. And again, it was people screaming, put two up top, and all the rest of it. And it's even when he came on, that wasn't really what was happening. It was like Kyogo was sort of behind Giakoumakis up front. And again, that's entirely different to his game. That's not really what he wants to be, the sort of the furthest forward and able to break the lines himself, because there was times where he was drafting fucking deep enough to be a midfielder at times to get the ball and try and make things happen, which is really, he's just not effective there. But I think it'll be interesting, Darren, to see what the manager does, given that there's a couple of injuries and problem positions is probably the best way to put it for us.
Aye, definitely. As you say, we've been really benefiting from getting players back, and we really did struggle in September when we were missing quite a few. So hopefully, I know Starfelt mentioned a couple of weeks in an interview to Swedish press today, but hopefully he will be back after the international break. But Tony, next up, we mentioned it already, it is Ferencvaros away. Celtic travel to Budapest, and looking likely that if they get any sort of positive result, it will all but guarantee European football after Christmas. And how do you see that game going? And I know, like, obviously Saturday sort of killed a bit of enthusiasm from some towards Europe. Some people just want to get back to winning domestically against Dundee on Sunday. But this is, whatever way you look at it, it's a massive game for Celtic season.
Absolutely, we're expected to win. We're a far superior team to Ferencvaros. We showed that at Celtic Park. We need to go out and win the game. We can't be sitting feeling sorry for ourselves. A poor result, but it's in the past now. There's no point in moping over it. They need, if they want to be winning things and progressing in competitions, then they'll need to go over it and go again. Beating Ferencvaros would give everybody a big lift. Football is all about momentum. All it takes is one victory, and the momentum's back with us, and we're all kind of happy with the manager again. Obviously, Saturday was a massive disappointment, but we had got a good run of victories in before that. I think we'll win. I definitely think that we can go there and win. I don't think it'll be an easy game. I think we'll win maybe 1-0 or 2-1. And then, as I say, is it easy? You would then be in a chance to qualify for the Europa League itself, but you would be guaranteed the Conference League. So there's a big impetus there for the players. The big reward if they can get the win. So I would hope to go there, no injuries, get the win. Even a draw isn't a bad result. But obviously, if we want to qualify in second, we're going to need to hope that we can win and Betis can beat off Leverkusen. Then if you can beat Betis at Celtic Park, you've got a really good chance. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of over Saturday now. At the time you're raging, obviously. That's just the way it is. But I'm quite relaxed now, and it's more so just getting behind the team and going again. Don't really have anything else to add, but I think we'll win 1-0. I think he'll go score the winner.
Andy, how do you see it going? It's a team that although they got chances in the home game, Celtic were pretty comfortable and in control for the most part. Do you expect it to be similar when we go away to them? Obviously, there'll be no away fans there at time of recording.
As we said, like, they had a couple of chances and things, but that's why you get a goalkeeper. They've obviously got to contribute a part as well, which Joe Hart did. We had dominated the vast sort of bulk of possession for the majority of the game. I agree with Tony. I think we're going to see Ferencvaros score. I think that's just got a feeling about him sort of getting a goal, and it'll be a big goal in Europe for us. But I think it'll be fairly comfortable, to be honest. I think it'll end 2-1, but I think it'll be a comfortable sort of 2-1 victory. I get the feeling we'll be sort of 2-1 up, and they'll maybe nick one late on when they're pushing. But it's a game I'm looking forward to. I think Europe's important. We've spoken about it a million times why Europe's important and why we feel it is. It's particularly for Celtic, but I'll go with 2-1. Kyogo and Jota to get in the score sheet.
I think it'll be a pretty tight game. I think it'll be hostile crowd, but it's not Celtic haven't faced before. I do have a bit of concern about defence, just in terms of obviously missing Starfelt disrupts that sort of harmony that you've had between Joe Hart, Carter Vickers and Starfelt. So whoever goes in there, I personally, I would be shocked if it was what Andy thought might happen with Scales. I don't see him getting in ahead of Welsh at this present time. I think the manager's played Welsh enough that I think he would just be more comfortable to throw in. But I'm pretty comfortable that we'll go and get a positive result. As you say, the draw wouldn't be a terrible result. You would then the only way Celtic would go out of the group would be losing both the last games and Ferencvaros taking 4 points at least from them. So you've got to hope that wouldn't happen. But hopefully we go out there and get a win and sort of get confidence back up, because I don't think we can afford to dwell on poor results. And if we can just go out there, get a win, another group stage win helps the coefficient and whatever. But it then takes you, even gives you that more confidence going to Dundee, which should be a routine game. But at the same time, if you were to lose on Thursday, the confidence would be down again. As I said, I'd be stunned if Kyogo doesn't start unless injury or something stopped it. But I'm pretty confident that he will be the man that gets the goals, and I think Celtic will win 2-0 on Thursday and just about secure their passage to the Conference League at the very least. And as Joseph says, it then opens the door to the Betis game and the Leverkusen game for Celtic to just go out there and have a free hit at trying to progress from the group overall. But unless any of you have got anything to add, I know we will be back after Thursday. Win, lose or draw, we will be back on. And looking to speak to anybody. Anybody get anything else to add before we wrap up?
Nothing for me.
Just to say a big cheers to everybody that came along to our first two shows in Malone's before the game. And it was something we're looking to, obviously, day before the majority of home games that are sort of Saturday 3 o'clock kick-off, so it's a good enough time. But big thanks to everybody who's came along, and of course Malone's for getting us in and getting us involved.
Cheers, see you there.